I came here as a man who has plenty of things to say, but not for the first time finds himself in the position of a Jonah, a man whom the owners of the land had bestowed upon a message, which he must deliver to the people. And no matter how far I try to run, no matter how cleverly I hide in the quiet corners of the world, there is no peace, there is no rest, there is no hiding place, because the truth follows me no matter where I turn. It knocks at every door I try to close. It speaks when I try to sleep. And I have come to understand deeply that if I do not speak this message aloud, if I do not let it fall from my lips into the ears of those who must receive this message, then my life becomes formless. But on the other hand, the deeper, certain kind of awkwardness I feel has to do with the joy that stretches over the city, which in fact is what the people find comfort in, since it makes the people feel safe in whatever nets they build up for themselves to catch them when they fall. Yet, you must understand that joy does not last all that long for the length of a man's life, and this precisely has to do with one sense of reality, one system of reality, and when one finds him or herself in the world. Because if joy were all that there is, if it stretches far and wide, like the pavement of the city, then we would not be forced to reckon with what lays beneath it. But it is this reckoning that makes us human. It is this reckoning that unmarks us. And I too feel this awkwardness, not because joy is a lie, not at all, but because it is often used to hide the truth. And every man's truth, every woman's truth, begins with where they stand in the world when the world looks away. Now, joy or pain, love or heartbreaks, peace or war, these are words seriously loaded, and one's reaction to each of these words depends on one's sense of reality. It depends on one's system of reality. It depends on assumptions so strong, so deeply, so fearful that facing each of these words is the only way to be scarcely aware of them. A woman with a broken heart, a man without a shelter of love, a young boy with a vast confusion and uncertainty in his life, a girl facing the world, fighting to guard her heart, all have at the bottom of the system a sense of reality which compels them, for example, in the case of what a person demands from the world and what the world gives a person to run his or her life with. The man walking with a frail feet who stops after every 10 steps to catch his breath knows one or two things about the gap between where he is and how long it's going to take him to arrive at his destination. Of course, for such a person, the realization of the world caring for how he feels does not exist at all. And on the other hand, I have to speak as one of the people who are saying that the world talks too much and means too little. I have to speak as one of the people who are saying that the world talks too much and means too little, that it talks about Cadillacs, about success, about the shining things that turns dull in the hands, all have no reckoning when the time of bearing comes, when the world asks and demands with a certain kind of brutality, who are you? But whatever a man is what the world has handed him. Wherever a man stands is where the world had placed him. And soon he sees that his survival depends on what broken part of himself he is willing to show the world. He sees that his survival depends on what broken part of himself he is willing to show the world, to dance in his miseries, to look over the years and find nothing but content in how his life had unfolded before him, even when in fact his life has been battered continuously, repeatedly by the goading hands of the world. Who wonders what had given him the courage to go the extra mile? Who wonders why he had seek himself out from his own comfort? Now when this happens, leaving aside all the physical facts that one can quote, leaving aside the continuous heartbreaks in the world, leaving aside the tiny joy that had been suffocated by his pains, leaving aside all the wishes that are turned bitter on the lips, leaving aside all the love he gave, but never received any, which he is in one way or another familiar with already. What this does to the battered one, the most brutal thing this does to the one pressed down by this weight, is to destroy his sense of reality. It destroys the ability to hope. It destroys the ability to love. It destroys the ability to be kind to the world. It destroys what the person owes upon to tell the children when the time of reckoning comes. Because what had unfolded for this man or this woman in the course of their lives had battered with the truth that lays in the depth of their soul. This means, in the case of a man or a woman who finds out that nowhere fits in the world, that they were born in this time and age, that asks difficult questions and gives back no answers. Now looking over the years, at some point in their lives, they suppose that the world would be long stretched years of joy and merriment. Yet, the world hides in its hidden corners both pains, purpose, and chaos, which will unfold as they begin to ask the difficult questions about who they are from the ones who had produced them. Yet, the ones who had produced them cannot answer these questions because the questions which burns in their heart are theirs, and they must find the answers to these questions regardless of how battered it might cost them. Now it comes as a great shock at the age of 20, 25, to discover that the world in which it produced you and me had not in a sense of reality prepared a place for us. It comes as a great shock to discover that the world that had produced you and me had not in a sense of reality prepared a place for us. It comes as a great shock to discover that you may run to the hills, that you may run to the mountain, but the voices of fears, of doubts, of pains, of loneliness follows you no matter where you may go. It comes as a great shock to discover that the world in which you had pledged your allegiance had not, in all of its forms, pledged its allegiance to you. It comes as a great shock to discover that the ones who had produced you had given you life, and if you were lucky, they gave you love too. But beyond that, it is all on you, and no one is going to take your punches for you. The disaffection, the demoralization, and the gap between one person and another, solely on where they stand in the world and what they hold in both hands, begins there, and then it accelerates throughout the lifetime until the person doesn't realize that he is 30, until the person doesn't realize that she is 30, managing, having a terrible time to trust the world that has produced them. Now, by the time you're 30, you've been through a certain kind of meal. You've watched the sky clear after the storm. You've watched many winter recede and make way for summer. You've watched the plenty of children born in your presence, now coming of age, starting to face the world from their little corners. But the most serious effect of this meal is again on the catalogue of disaster, the bills, the lovers who want your soul, the realization that the ones you love are growing old, the millions of details, 24 hours of every day, which spells out to you that you're a worthless human being and that you will never find your place in the world. It is not that. It's by that time you begin to worry, not just for yourself, but for the children and what the decisions will be as life unfolds for them.